we had to play from behind the 8 ball the whole time. We still had the opportunity to win the championship, even though we didn't have a great regular season. But we got hot when it mattered. We won the races that mattered, and we won the championship because of that. And if you don't like that, you can kiss my ass. That's
right.
How I feel about it. It's so frustrating to see it.
It's the Kenny Wallace Conversation, brought to you by JEGS.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Kenny Conversation, brought to you by JEGS, the leader in high-performance aftermarket car parts. Remember to go to jegs.com for everything you need to fix your hot rod up. And they are telling me still they've got truck parts and Jeep parts in stock. And you know it's Christmas time, so make sure you go to jegs.com. You're looking at him, the 3-time NASCAR Cup champion, and he is now the great Joey Logano. Joey, how are you doing?
I don't know about the great, but I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Life's pretty good right now.
Hey, you know what? Let's start right there. Man, you're only 34 years old, and I know how humble you are, but you are now the great Joey Logano. I mean, it's got to be an outer body experience. I know you don't think like that, but you are. You are the great Joey Logano now. Does that sound weird?
Yeah, well, yeah, because I don't look at myself any differently than what we would have been if we didn't win it. Is it great? Yes. Is it nice to hear 3 times instead of 2 times? Yeah. And you know what? 4 times will sound even better. So, like, you just kind of keep going with it throughout the day. You roll with the punches. There's the ups and the downs. The seasons are long. But I don't really feel like I'm any different, right? I mean, I've gotten older and I've matured over the years, but I feel like I'm the same Joey. Like that. Honestly, Kenny, before I jumped on here with this, my son and I were driving 4-wheelers through the woods. It's changed for me since I was a kid. Like that's all I've ever done. When I lived across the street from you, that's all I did every day was drive a 4-wheeler in the woods over there. Like nothing's ever changed.
I love it. You know, that reminds me of Dale Earnhardt Jr. I said to him, you know, I did a Kenny Conversation. You and Junior responded the same. I said, Junior, you're so popular. You control NASCAR. You move the needle. What's that feel like? And Junior said, I don't recognize that. You know, the same answer you had. You're great. He controls NASCAR, and both of you don't recognize it. And I think that's why you're so good. That's why you're a champion. So, okay, let's have a little fun here before we get, to the beef. As Mark Martin would say. I love Mark Martin when he talks to the rappers. You got a beef? Your championship meant a lot to my wife. I know this sounds crazy, but I had my wife one night on video, and I said, Kim, I said, some of the fans are trying to beat me into submission. They want me to agree that Joey Logano's championship was not legit to my wife. And I said, what do you think? And my wife said, I love Joey Logano. I said, why do you like Joey Logano? I knew the answer, but then she said, he's nice. and then Kenny Schrader on Herman Schrader just said, Joey's nice. A lot of people that matter to me in my life just say you're nice. And I agree. On the Kyle Petty Charity Road, you are a good soul. You do good things. What's that make you feel like?
Well, I mean, it's great to hear. And honestly, the people that know you the best or have had a experience with you personally, those are the opinions that you care about, right? And so there's always going to be haters. There's always going to be someone on social media that's going to say something negative towards you or about your character. But they don't know me. And it's okay because they're forming a judgment off of who you are in a race car. And Kenny, you know as good as anybody, because I think only true racers understand this, is that being a race car driver gives you the opportunity to be someone completely different. And it's okay. It's actually celebrated, right? Like, it's crazy that you can put your helmet on and be the biggest selfish butthole you've ever met.
Yeah.
And it's what you're supposed to do, by the way. That's what the job is to be selfish and go out there and win, right? I'm not supposed to be kind and say, you just go ahead, No, you're not supposed to do that. But if you lived your life that way when you got out of the car, yeah, you'd not be that good of a person. And you probably wouldn't have any friends and you'd live by yourself. And I know at the end of the day, racing will be here and then it's gonna go. And no matter how many championships I got, it will go away and I will be forgotten. It's just life. And at the end of the day, what are you going to have? People. That's all you got. Is those relationships that you've built. And so I guess I cherish those things as more than the trophies because the trophies are great, but at the end of the day, it's just a piece of metal. So to me, the relationships you have at the end of the day matters the most. That's why family matters. Hanging out with people like you and those memories that you have, that's all you got.
My gosh, you are 34 going on 50. Where did you get that wisdom? I mean this with respect. Did you take any sports therapy? Did it come from your father? Or is that just all on your own?
My wife has these conversations with me that helps me understand a little bit more of what life's all about because you get so consumed sometimes in your job, right? Like, and I still get that way. Don't get me wrong. Like, because during the season, my fuse is a little shorter, even at home. Like, the stress is real. I don't know
Yeah.
there, but I guess I've watched other drivers retire and go into a state of depression.
Yeah.
And I don't want that. Like, as much as anything, like, I don't want to, like, I love racing. I don't want to stop anytime soon. Don't get me wrong on this, but I want to be happy when I'm done. Like, I don't want to miss it because that's all I got. Like, I got to have more in my life than just motorsports.
Yeah, your Brittany is something else.
Yeah.
My wife met your Brittany at Bristol Motor Speedway when you joined the Kyle Petty charity ride, and my wife become a fan. Just quickly before we get to that championship run, and that's what this is all about, race fans. We're getting to the championship run. We're gonna needle it right down to the last 10 laps, but your wife, Brittany, you have a first son. He's a boy, Hudson.
Mm-hmm.
You got a second boy, Jameson.
Yeah.
And then, wow, you struck gold. A girl, Amelia.
You're right.
Tell me about these children and how close is Hudson to being a race car driver?
Well, first off, my wife is the rock star of the whole family here. And we're coming up on 10 years. Our 10-year anniversary is coming up in December. So she deserves a trophy more than me. But, so, I mean, it is. I mean, I said it in my speech, too. We're gone a lot on the weekends. I talked about the stress and the pressure here a minute ago. And your wife did the same thing, is that a lot of times they're raising the kids on their own. And the stuff happens while you're gone, right? Stuff breaks at the house. Kids go to the hospital because they wreck on something, right? Like, or they get sick, right? Stuff happens. So she's the true rock star behind everything. But yeah, 3 kids. They're a blast. They're all fun in their own way, and they're so completely different. Like my oldest Hudson, he's the car kid. Like, honestly, I'm in my shop right now. He's behind me downstairs working on his RC car. Just wants to, anything with wheels, that's his thing. I don't know if he wants to race or not. He just wants to drive. So he's 6. I'm okay with that. Dad's not going to push him. My middle child, Jameson, he's the turtle kid. He's reptiles, turtles, like you name, like animals. That's his thing. Couldn't be more different than me. I hate all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, but it's pushing me a little out of my comfort zone. It's good. And then Amelia, she's my favorite. I mean, that's the bottom line. She's the little girl of the family. Everybody, she's gonna be spoiled. She is spoiled. The boys fight for her affection. So do I. We love her. So she's only 2, so we don't know what quite she's going to be like, but we know that she's getting a little sass already. So here we go.
Do you think your dad, Tom, is already with your oldest boy, Hudson, saying, you want to be a race car driver, right?
He brings it up to him. And he's 6 years old. He's like, You know what I don't want though? I don't want him to have to if he does decide to go racing, or if anyone decides to do it, I don't want them to be held at a different standard. I know it's going to happen because they're my kid, right? Like we raced out in Millbridge a couple times, and they introduced him as Joey Logano's kid, Hudson. I'm like, ugh,
Mm.
like I didn't have to go through that. Like I was Tom Logano's kid. We didn't do nothing about racing. Like we're
Yeah.
just having fun. I'm 6 years old. I'm having fun. Like that's all it's about. Like I don't want it to be so serious already.
Yeah, I understand. Okay, everybody. I just want to remind everyone that we have done an in-depth Kenny conversation with Joey Logano. So if you want to scroll through the Kenny conversations, you will find an in-depth conversation with Joey Logano. This is the second one, and I don't know what Charlie's going to name it, but this, to me, this is called the championship conversation, and that's what we're going to do right now. I want to start out by saying some things about this Penske organization and you, and I just want some comments. And then I want you to take me in the car those last 10, 20 laps. Okay, Roger Penske, the Penske team, NASCAR said, we're going to create the new next gen. And in the 3 years that the next gen car has been created, you guys have struck gold. 22, you want, well, Blaney, then you.
I mean, first off, I couldn't be more proud to race for Roger Penske. I think that's any racer's dream is to race for somebody like Roger Penske. And when I say somebody like him, there's no one else like him. So it's Roger Penske. Um, he's he's committed to winning, and I think that piece there is what makes the culture so strong at Penske. Is that it's just known when you go there, you're supposed to win. Is it a lot of pressure? Absolutely. But I want to win too. Like, I don't want to go to a place that's like, hey, nice top five. No, screw that. Like, I don't want to finish fifth. I want to win. And
Yeah.
so I think that is gone through the whole company. He's got some tremendous leaders there. Obviously, Cindric and Mike Nelson, Travis Geisler. Those guys, I mean, they're strong. They're strong leaders, and that's where everything trickles down through from there. So, yeah, I'm been in a great place for the last, what's it been, 12 years, with a great sponsor with Shell. So, I mean, geez, I mean, could you ask for anything better? Like, no. And I'm fortunate enough to be able to, have some successful years and be able to win a few championships there. I mean, it's been great.
Sometimes during this conversation, I want you to know that I'm going to pretend I'm a fan. Okay. And I do know that I do know, but I want to hear what you have to say because I told the fans on social media, I'm going to be having a conversation with Joey Logano. What do you want me to ask him? So what does Penske have? Now you just said that you're expected to win, but you're expected to win in Hendrick too.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think? And I'm thinking engineers. What does Team Penske have that the other teams don't have in your mind? Because they all want to win.
Yeah, I think it comes down to people, Kenny,
Yeah.
and I know that's so cliche. You hear it all the time, but when you look at the top teams, nobody's got any more resources than the next.
Yeah, Rogers Indy cars. Do you think that helps with engineering?
Mm-mm.
No.
No, and I don't like mean it in a rude way, but it couldn't be more different. An
Yeah.
IndyCar or Cup car is like apples and oranges. Like it's not even close. So, when you look at Hendrick, the resources that they have, what Gibbs has, what Penske has, what Trackhouse has, like we all got the same stuff. We all buy the same cars. Like we
Yeah.
can't go out engineer, enough to make a big difference anymore than the next team, right? We used to design our own spindles and design all our suspension, design chassis, design. We did all of it, right? And it's like, whoa, we had a true advantage over, other teams. That's gone. We all buy these same chassis. We buy the bodies from Ford. We have Roush Yates engines, which are solid. But that's what the race cars. So once everyone's got the same parts, we got the same brakes, we got the same all the stuff. It's just how you put it together.
Yeah.
And who puts it together? That's the
Yeah.
question, right?
Yeah.
It's the people that do that. So the decisions that are made, the small little details that matter, the strategy of the race, right? You talk about Paul Wolfe. Geez, this guy, like, what a crew chief that I got that puts us in position to win, even when we're not the fastest car. We figure it out, right? I mean, what else could you want?
I'm kind of laughing because you put it so perfectly blunt. You're like, okay, the whole sport has got the exact same car. And they do, because I've been there. I've watched them build those right there at the Concord Regional Airport. I
Right,
see
right there.
the repair center. I've been in the repair center for the next gen car. And you just really put it a way that I would have never understood, and for everybody else. For the last 3 years, you guys, Ryan Blaney and yourself, have won the last 3 championships, and you have the exact same cars everybody else does.
Mhm.
That is
Yeah,
pretty incredible, to think like that. It comes down to pit stops, uh,
detail,
detail.
execution of the race. Right. I mean, the field's never been tighter than it is right now. So the little things matter more than ever. And I mean, trust me, the little things are so aggravating, right? Because it's like, am I really making a difference with this? Like, you spend hours on the smallest decision.
What
But
about that Vegas race when Paul kept you out on gas and you kicked her ass? You
it
won
matters.
Vegas on fuel mileage, but you were still fast. That's
Yeah,
detail.
we were solid there. I mean, we weren't like the fastest car. Obviously, the 20 was the fastest car, but we were the best team that day, the
Yeah.
most well-rounded team. Right? We had an advantage when it came to fuel mileage. Paul will tell you he didn't feel like it was a gamble at all. Like that scenario played out. It's not like we didn't talk about it beforehand. We talked about it the morning of all the different scenarios that we think can happen. And hey, if there's a caution with, I forget what it was now. It was what, 80, maybe, I don't know what it was. Whatever our fuel window was. It's like, are we faster to split it or do we want to run it out? And we decided right then we're going to run it out unless something different happens in the race that we don't expect. And
Yeah.
so the scenario presented itself and like, well, we know what to do. We're just going to play this out. And a lot of cars couldn't make it. I had to save a little bit of gas. We had to execute that whole scenario too, right? It's not just,
Oh,
oh, we're going to make it. Like, I got to save some gas. I got to pass the 99 in front of me, and I can't let the 20 pass me. And so you got to be smart enough to understand all that for one, but then you got to be smart enough to play it all out. And that takes a lot of information from not only the crew chief, but also the spotter up on the roof telling me where everybody is so I can make sure I manage everything inside the car. So, it's an interesting win because you don't know you got it until you get there.
what was more interesting is you calculated it perfectly, and I give you as a I'm in. Okay, this is a joke, but I'm in the drivers union. Okay, you you calculated it so perfectly that you let Christopher Bell get right to your bumper, come and do the checkered flag. I mean, I almost got a little nervous for you because I wanted you to win. As you're going into 3, I mean, did you take a snapshot? Like the great Dick Trickle, we take pictures in the mirror. Did you take a picture in the mirror entering 3 or coming off a 2? Where did you know
I
where he
seen
was?
where he was. I mean, really more than anything, I was just listening to Coleman on the roof telling me how many seconds back he was, with how many laps there was to go. And I was like, okay, if he's 4 seconds back with 10 to go, I'm feeling pretty good, right? I can save
Yeah.
a little bit, make sure I get to the end here. I can let that gap get closed up a little bit. But you don't want to give up too much, right? Because all it
Yeah.
takes is one mistimed pass on a lap car and you lose a half a second that lap, and you're like, oh, like here he is. So
Yeah.
that's where it gets a little tricky.
Yeah, but I think it's pretty incredible that you're calculated enough. I mean, what is 4 seconds at Vegas? Is it a half a straightaway? Is it a straightaway?
Straight away, a back straight away.
Yeah, but that's pretty cool that you know that. I want the fans that's listening to this, I want them to know that you know what 4 seconds is at Vegas. That's pretty. That's pretty jam up. That means you're smart.
Yeah. The game has to be slow, right? Like the game has to slow down for you, right? If you're running 10-10s and you're just hanging on, you're gonna miss the details. And honestly, like, I feel like that's where my strength is as a driver is that I need to be the smartest driver out there because I'm not the fastest driver out there. And I know that, right? There's certain tracks that fit my wheelhouse. There's certain areas, certain lines, things that work for me better than others. But I think if you look at the grand scheme of things, there's other drivers that can go faster than me. And so I need to figure out a way to beat them, right? Look at Tom Brady. I think this is the best example ever. Is he the most athletic guy on the football field? Not even close. Not even close. But he was the smartest one out there, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And he won a whole bunch of championships. So I think it's just so much more to it now these days than just being fast. Like that's just not enough anymore. So that's I don't know the way I look at it.
You are the second person that has said something. Here, I'm 61 years old. The last person I heard say the greats see things in slow motion. Brad Sweet, Kyle Larson's, brother-in-law that runs the World of Outlaw Sprint Cars. Now he owns High Limit. But Brad Sweet and myself, we were talking about what makes Kyle Larson so great. And I think it's the same thing that makes you great. And you just said it's the second time. The greats see things in slow motion, slow it down. For us mortals, it's like, oh, we can't control it. It's happening too fast. 4 seconds. What is 4 seconds? But you and Kyle Larson, Tom Brady, that's my opinion, everybody. The greats see things in slow motion to where they're so fast for us, we don't react. That is the lesson I learned. And I'm glad you just brought that up because now here I am understanding what's the difference. Why are you so good? Why is Jeff Gordon? Why was he so good? Things are slow for you all. I love that.
I think that's what helps in like the pressure moments, right? In the playoffs for us, like it's not an accident that we win more races in the playoffs than we do in the regular season. It's not an accident.
Obviously.
Some of that is, yeah, it's preparation or whatever, but some of it is just that the game feels like it feels slower, so you feel more comfortable in the scenarios. You understand what's going on more. You're not wigging out and feeling like this pressure is getting to you. It just feels a little bit different. I don't know. For us, that's our strength. So like we got to keep playing that. That one works good. Let's keep working that one.
Okay, everyone, we're gonna get to the beef that all the fans want me to talk about, but we're gonna go to that championship race right now. Let's do this backwards. Let's do it like some of the movies. Let's go to the championship race. Then let's go back and then we'll start at the Roval and we'll get to the controversy. But let's celebrate you because that's what this is about. Okay, as a race car driver, put me in the seat with you at Phoenix. I want to go to Phoenix in particular because I was watching your every move. Here comes your teammate, Blaney, and I'm thinking he's just going to blow by you. I mean, he's gaining at rapid rate. And I know you got Coleman as your spotter, but now I see you become a dirt racer. Now you're entering turn one. You're letting the car go up the track. You're doing all these lines. Take me in the car with you. Give me a synopsis. What did you do to maintain and win that race?
Well, I mean, the race win happened on the restart. There's no doubt about that.
Oh, you blew by him.
I was able to get the lead quick and get out there. And honestly, I got out there a couple seconds and I was like, okay, I'm going to chill a little bit. I don't need to be going 10-10s here. I'm going to save a little bit of tire in case there's a caution late in the race where we're like, we don't know if we want to put 4 on or not, or maybe we'll put 2 on. Like, I don't need to burn them up. I just need to keep a 2-second lead. That's comfy. I like that. So I felt good about that. And then Blaney cleared the 24, and I was like, uh-oh. He's a little faster than I thought he would be here.
You
So
knew
I started going
come.
hard. As he was catching me, I was like, okay, I got to figure something out. I got to find some speed somewhere. And, Blaney's he's one of the fastest drivers on the racetrack right now. Maybe the fastest driver, especially on long runs. Like, he's just fast. So, I knew where he was strong from early in the race because we raced each other earlier, and I knew he was good on the long run, but I also knew he really got this bottom lane working really well in one. where he was getting his right size on the yellow line. So he was below the yellow line, putting his rights on it. And I knew he was strong there. And I knew if I can take that from him, that's going to slow him down a little bit. If I can figure out how to make speed doing that, now I can take his air and, make speed. So I was able to find a couple little things where I was kind of able to do it half-assed, to be honest with you. I was kind of able to take some of his air, but also, keep some speed in my car, to where I knew if he moved up, he didn't really have as much speed moving up. So that was really the difference maker, is that I knew where he was strong from earlier. Coleman was feeding me information on where he was, and I was able to adjust as he got closer and into the corners and just make sure I was perfect.
Paul Wolfe, your crew chief. As I always say, I proved to everybody I like to do this. I've worked hard. Paul Wolfe and you are the most successful active combo in NASCAR to this day, because you two, Jimmy Johnson and Chad are gone. You two have taken that place. Tell me about Paul Wolfe and, knocking those pit stops out. Because people always say, who's going to win the Cup championship? I'm like, you don't understand. It comes down to the last pit stop. But yet you're able to blow by them. You as the driver, you earned that championship because on the restart, like you said, you had to blow by him. But let's put Paul Wolfe in there. What does it feel like to be right now the greatest active? Active means right now duo.
Yeah, I mean, he's a fantastic leader. I think what makes us great is that we're kind of like the yin and yang. We're like very different from each other. Where we kind of fill in each other's blanks, which is exactly what you want in a crew chief. You want that in your relationship at home, right? You don't want two people strong at the same thing. You want somebody that can do the other thing good. And it's funny because our personalities are very, we love cars, obviously, we love racing, we love those type of things, but our personalities are very different from each other. Where I'm very outgoing, I like to talk, I don't mind talking a little trash, I enjoy it, right?
Yeah.
We're very quiet, emotions are very flat. Where I'm riding the waves, baby. Like I'm going up and down. So
I like it.
It's just who I am.
You just explained Kenny Wallace. Yeah.
So, I think that's good that we're different in that way. That helps the team, I think. Paul is, I'll think out loud. Every thought that comes to my mind comes right out. Where like in a meeting, where he is very calculated, thinks things out, then says it. Or he'll ask a question that will really get your minds going. And so he's really thoughtful. Like he's thinking of a lot of stuff. You don't realize it sometimes because he's so quiet, but his wheels are smoking up in there. Like there's stuff going on. But I think he's a quiet, stern leader that people respect. And it's not from going out there and giving yay rah rah speeches or BSing people into thinking, trying to get people to believe in him. He just does his thing. And I think the thing I look up to him the most for is that I call him in my speech, Honest Paul. Right? Like,
honest
man, I don't think he knows how to lie. Like, I don't think he's like, and I'm telling you, it hurts sometimes. He tells
I was going to say, is he mean?
No, I wouldn't say it's mean. It's truthful. And that's how you grow, is when you tell the truth. But the truth is hard to say sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, truth is tough. And Paul will just say it as it is. Like, okay. Like, you probably could have softened up that a little bit, maybe feel a little better when you're telling the truth. But I get it. All right, I'll work on that. Like, it's good. But that's what I think he does that throughout the whole team. And everyone respects him for that. That's why he's great.
Give me an example of him criticizing you one time and you had to bite it.
I mean, it's weekly, Kenny.
Weekly. Oh crap! Now I know what made him and Chad, and because Chad was so mean to Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah,
I was like,
Paul's not mean. I don't want to cover. He's a super nice guy. He's just brutally honest. But like for me and my point of my career, it's perfect.
Yeah.
If Paul and I were put together when I was 18, 19, 20, 21, wouldn't work. No way. Wasn't tough enough to handle it. In fact, I had a crew chief like that when I first
Mm,
started, right? With
yeah.
Zippy.
Yeah.
Great guy, great crew chief. Won a couple championships, right? Did not fit with an 18-year-old
No.
that had no confidence, that didn't know what he was doing. Like, you just
Boy,
get beat down. Eventually, you don't believe in yourself, right? Like, didn't work. Nothing against him, just didn't work for me. At this point in my career, it probably would have worked, but who'd have known?
out of everything I've heard so far in this conversation, that's the one. That 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 right there. I don't even know if you know what you just said, but that was big. That's the one that I think Charlie is going to edit out of this whole deal. When you were 18 years old, you know, you were a kid with a crew chief that was a badass that had already won championships with Tony Stewart, but you needed to be you were only 18 years old. My God, that's young. Um, that's really good stuff. That just taught me something. I learned something. Okay, so was Paul Wolfe? Wasn't he a race car driver, a good
Yeah.
one or not? That's
I mean,
another big deal,
pretty good. I mean, he ran some Xfinity races, back in the day.
right?
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, he was pretty decent. Yeah.
Paul Wolfe, your crew chief, ran Xfinity races, was a good race car driver. I
Yep.
mean, that's a hell of a combination there. And he's very intense. He makes sure everything's perfect. Wow, that's
Yep.
my crew chief.
Yeah. That's
So
great.
when I say the car's loose, he knows what it means.
Yep. Yeah, he understands it, or at least ask the right questions to pull the real details out of me if I'm not giving him the right info, which is great. That's what you need.
That's big. Okay. All right, everybody. He wins the race at Phoenix. Joey Logano wins the race at Phoenix. We talk about, coming out of the pits, gear banging, going through the gearbox, gets the lead, gets aggressive, and once again, in Joey Logano style, does what he has to do to win it. Now, we get to the banquet, the awards ceremony, and boy, there was some good stuff out of that awards ceremony. There's a lot that I want to talk about, but the one that really caught my eye, Roger Penske, the greatest car owner in the history of motorsports, and that's not even a debate. I mean, Google it and it will tell you that. He said, Joey Logano is a winner. That moment had to stand still for you. And I know you're used to Roger by now. And I grew up with him because obviously, Rusty started Penske South. Have you, here we are. It's a week later now. Have you thought about Roger Penske saying Joey Logano is a winner?
I mean, there's a lot of moments where I got to pinch myself every now and again to make sure it's not a dream. and,
Yeah.
and that's great. But Roger, like I said earlier in the interview, I mean, it's the guy you want to drive for, because he does it right. Right? Like, you respect him because he does it correctly. He's not out there cutting corners. He's not a type of team that's here today, gone tomorrow because they're doing things in not the correct way. Right? Like, Penske perfect. That's what we try to do. We try to hold ourselves at a high standard. Right? We try to, honestly, like, what do we try to do? We try to be better than everybody. Like, I know that sounds simple, but we want to be, clean cut. We want to look right. We want to have our cars look right. We want to win, and we want to treat our sponsors better than anybody. Like, that's what our goals are. That comes from Roger, and he doesn't know he's never said that to me, but that when you walk in the door is that, oh, these guys are trying to be better than everybody. All right, cool. I want to be on that team. Like, I want to be on the winning team. Uh,
Yeah.
and it's just what it is. There, it works.
Joey, my race shop and my home are perfectly clean because of Roger Penske. I shave. My brother Rusty would say, shave, Herman. Roger Penske's coming tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Get on your knees, Herman. Clean the baseboards of the shop. Roger comes, he might look down at the baseboards. I totally understand what you're saying.
That's how he
My
is.
My family, my children's homes are clean because of Roger Penske. I get it. I know what you're saying. Uh, that's crazy how one person. I like what you said
Yeah,
there.
it
You
does
said you
affect
want,
everybody.
yeah, you want to be part of his team. Penske perfect. Is there a decal about that? That's awesome.
There should be. Should be.
Penske perfect. Let's make the decals right now. Okay, so the award ceremony's rolling on, and I want to have fun with something. I said the other day, I said Joey has got 3 of those gold Goodyear cars. Pretty soon he's going to start a heat race. Where are those gold Goodyear cars right now?
Right on the other side of the screen, pretty much.
That's
So
awesome.
they're amazing. I tell you, the detail that's in these gold cars, they it's remarkable. Like every little detail of the car is there. The way the grill screens are cut out, the like if you look at the inside of the car, like where my cool shirt plugs in, the connectors are the same. Every switch, the way it's laid out, is there. The type of seat belts. I have my steering wheel's cut out a little bit in the top so I can see my dash better. The steering wheel's cut out a little bit. Like the smallest little details are all in this car. Unbelievable. Obviously, the hoses are all run the same way. They hand engrave the car with all the sponsor letterings and stuff on it, the numbers and all that. You would hand freehand it. What? Like, and they give it to you, and you're terrified. They're like, thank
Yeah.
you. I'm scared to hold it. Like, put it down.
Who makes this, Joey? Do we know the name of the company or person?
It's a man in I believe he lives in Denver, North Carolina, I believe. But him and his son do it together. And they, from what I've learned, they takes all year to
You
build
know
these.
they're out. You know how they're out there smoking a joint, doing all this. You know.
I don't know how
The-
the
the-
patience
the-
it would take to build
those,
this would drive me. I mean, I would just throw things. There's no way I can do it.
yeah, they're very artistic people.
Hmm.
Very, very good at that. Okay, so now we've got by now Charlie Marlowe's dropping in all the pictures here. We got great pictures of the car, everything that you just talked about. Now there you and the wife are, and you've got now you're closing in on Tom Brady. Now we got 3 rings. And boy, you look good with those 3 rings. Tell me what are you doing with the rings?
I said, screw it. I'm going to wear them at the banquet.
In case you get in a fight.
And I'm like, I don't know. Like, is it a little bit of a jerk move? Probably. But I'm like, screw it. If this one time I can do it, it's right now. And
Yeah.
so I had to be careful shaking hands because the one on the pinky is a little like loose, right? They're all made for the same finger.
Yeah.
So it's kind of tough to wear them all at the same time. It's a good problem to have. But yeah, it was. I mean, that's the only time you really get to wear them. I don't wear them any other times. They're so big and gaudy that like it's not who I am. But at your racing banquet and you just won the championship, hell yeah, I'm gonna wear it.
Good move. Absolutely. I always say put your trophies up. And one thing Rusty taught me, Herman, you got to remind these people. They remember what they want to. Here you are, a 3-time champion. Sometimes you got to remind people. Then they'll shut up, Okay, so the award ceremony is moving on. And, before or after, we have some really good press conferences. And they struck gold with me. Here you are, you're a very young 34-year-old man, and you said you are more emotional nowadays.
Hmm.
Why is that?
I think it goes back to what we were talking about in the beginning of the show. Is that like you you become a little bit more sensitive, a little more emotional as you get older because you understand what life's about more, and you don't do it just for you anymore, right? Like the first championship was like that's for me, right?
Sweet daddy.
Right? And
Yep.
then as you get older, you understand the impact of a championship and how it affects everybody, like on your team, your family, like it is huge. And I think that, like you will start to understand what life's about, and it's more about the people. It's not about the stat next to Joey Logano's name. Like screw that stuff. It doesn't matter that much. So I think that's why you understand you have a better perspective on life. Kids will do that to you. I think. I think that's the biggest thing that's changed. And I get at a point like I told Brittany, we're watching the race Saturday night, the Xfinity race, and like I know Justin fairly well, but like not that great. And I'm watching the race, and it's over, and they're celebrating in Victory Lane, and I'm crying. I'm watching the race, I'm crying. I'm like, what am I doing? Like,
Oh,
because I know the how hard it is to accomplish that for their whole family, for everybody on the team. I know the feeling of victory, and that there's not many people in sports that understand that. And so whether it's honestly, it's just no matter what it is now, I don't know, it gets to me a little bit more than it used to because I think about the people. I think about the trials that people have to go through, how hard it is for everybody, and to see success, it makes you happy.
you just appreciate it. No, so my cousin Timmy works there at Penske's. He's one of the longest running employees by far. I think
He's
he's
a
top.
wild man, by the way.
Well,
He's a total Wallace.
he's a chip off the old block. Let's put it that
Yes.
way. But to your point, all those employees, you're talking about. You're a little more emotional now. Every one of those crew members, when you win that championship and Mr. Penske splits that money up, this is serious money for your crew member.
Mm-hmm.
Those guys are going to get like massive bonuses. For the normal person, it would be life changing. Do you think
Mm-hmm.
about that?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. Those crew members, their lives are going to change because of this championship and that bonus that
You
they're
want
going
to
to
be
get.
part of it?
That is so awesome. Yeah.
I have a funny
And the
story for you.
reason, okay, go ahead.
So the beginning of the year, I did something new for our team, and I created this chart, and it's like all these different things we got to hit to throughout the year. Amount of top five, stage wins, race wins, make it through the right. And so if you get a certain amount of stars, you get a bonus at the end of the year, right? And and it gets split up between everybody, cash bonus, right? So and I kind of had this whole thing set up. I was like, okay, if we hit 3 wins and hit this and this, we get $50,000 spread between everybody. Right? Yeah, if we win, screw it, none of it matters. It's a $200,000 bonus, right? So we won, and I'm like, oh boy, I don't even know where to get this kind of money. So
Oh my God.
I come rolling up into the room. I got everybody in the conference room, and I got a duffel bag full of 200K. And I just dumped it out. And I said, I always wanted to do this. I dumped it all out. I said, here. And just started throwing money around. It was badass. It was so great. It's so great. Because, I mean, those are the moments that, like, that's so cool to celebrate with everybody. Everyone had that together. It's awesome.
Joey, that is so badass.
It was awesome.
That's what crew members dream of. Share your money with me. Give me
Yeah,
the
yeah.
check.
But I
Damn,
can't do it on my own. I know that. And so, I don't know. It was cool to be able to do that. It was neat to see everyone's face.
that is so awesome. Oh my
Yeah.
God. What a
Talk
great
about a
story.
nerve-wracking drive to the shop, though, is you got like a duffel bag full of cash next to you. I'm like, this don't look right.
Were you going to speed limit to make sure the police wouldn't pull you
Yeah,
over?
absolutely it was.
Hey, and if they pulled you over, you're like, hey, follow me to the race shop, would you?
Yeah, please.
Wow. That is so awesome. Man,
Yes.
congratulations. And you're a badass, Joey, because that's what all crew, listen, the crew members always said, you all don't care about us. You don't tell us what's going on. We're the last to know. And I think what you're showing is at Penske, that's what makes it so good there. You guys are a Penske perfect.
Mm-hmm.
That is so badass. Wow. Thank you for sharing that with us. Now Timmy didn't tell me that, but I just know about these big bonuses, and I'm like, wow, that is Roger Penske, and that's why their turnover is very little there. One more that really stood out to me. You said in your press conference that you had a tremendous opportunity. I'll tell you what, I know as I'm asking this where we're headed. Okay, we're going into another phase right now, everybody. Joey won the race. He went to the awards ceremony. It was wonderful. Anything else to say about the awards ceremony before we move on?
I had fun. It was great.
Okay. All right, everybody, buckle up. we're gonna start the beef. Everybody has a problem with you winning because they said that when Alex Bowman was light, that you got in on a technicality. So understand where I'm coming from right now. Is this is what the fans want? But let's start like this. At the awards ceremony, you said in your press conference you had a tremendous opportunity, and it was not easy to take advantage of it. Exactly what you said. A lot of pressure when you don't take advantage of the opportunity. In bold print, the opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming that opportunity was when Alex Bowman was illegal. Address what you said in that press conference.
Yeah, I mean, I said it in my speech too, and I wrote it down when I wrote my speech. Well, I just write bullet points, but the first word I wrote was opportunity, because a lot of opportunities are hard to come by. Don't get me wrong, but a lot of people get opportunities and one don't see it as an opportunity or don't take advantage of the opportunity, and they say, "Well, me," right? Like, "Oh, poor me." BS, right? Like I hate that. And taking advantage of an opportunity is not easy, right? That's sometimes the hardest thing to do. Is like, boy, I had the opportunity to drive the 22 car. Well, does that mean I'm going to be in there forever? No, I got to take advantage of that. I got to show up. I got to do good, right? Like great opportunity, but that's all it is. It's an empty opportunity until you make something of it. And we had a lot of opportunities throughout the year to win races, to go through different scenarios, and yeah, you brought up the 48 being light. Like we had an opportunity to get back in. Better make the most of it after that, right? Like we got a second life, right? Does that take anything away from our championship? Not in my opinion. I can promise you that, right? Like the 48 got busted for being too light. Well, I had to race against them that way for Lord knows how long. Maybe it was just that race. Maybe it was more races than that. And they just finally got caught. I don't know that answer. But isn't it supposed to be like a fair, equal playing ground, right? Like that's NASCAR's job to do that. So in my opinion, I was in the whole time, right? Like if that's the case and we're keeping up with rules that way, like that's the way it's supposed to be. Um, so that's just racing at that point. Um, yeah, and you get the opportunities, right? Like I talked about it. Like you get one at Nashville. You get the opportunity to keep staying out because we saved a little bit of gas than we could, and we're 5 overtimes in, and we win. Vegas, we get the opportunity to run long. We took advantage of it. We win. And we get the advantage. We get the opportunity to work 2 weeks before everybody, before we get to Phoenix to gain an advantage. We took that too, right? Had the opportunity on a restart in Phoenix, the final restart, to watch the 24 drive in there too hard, open the door for the 20, and then the 20 drive in the corner too hard and open the door for me again. Yeah, was it like the everything just happened perfectly? Yes, but you had to be there to take advantage of it. You had to do all the things correctly to even have the chance to go out there and make it happen. So, gosh, we had opportunities. Did everyone have the same opportunities at some point? Yeah, pretty much. Right? Like everyone looks at the season when in Daytona in the beginning of the year, we all have the same opportunity to win the championship. We all know the rules. We all know how to get there. We did it.
That reminds me of Chase Elliott and Dale Jr. There are people that say, "Oh, they're only famous because of their parents." What do you want them to do?
Exactly.
What
Like
do you
when
want?
they
You
born
want
with
to
a great
put them
opportunity.
back in their mama?
Yeah, right. And are they born with a great opportunity? Yes. Was I born with a great Absolutely. But it's nothing if you don't make anything of it. Right? You look at what Dale Jr. is doing, even to this day. Was he born with a great last name? Yes. But he could be on an island somewhere saying the hell with the sport. But no, not Dale Jr., right? Like he is taking advantage of the opportunity to grow our sport and do so much for us. That's awesome, right? Kenny, you the same way. You don't have to be doing this show right now. I don't have to be doing
No.
this show right now, right? Like,
I enjoy this.
I'm not doing it
I
for me,
learn.
right? Like, you want to do it for your sport,
Yeah,
right?
I love racing. I love NASCAR, and I always thought, it'd be over at 60, but okay. You won 5 NASCAR Cup races this year. You won Wilkesboro, the All-Star race. You won Nashville. You won Atlanta. You won Las Vegas. You won Phoenix. You won the championship. Okay, so now just wanted to throw that in there. Okay, we're still continuing with the beef. Where were you? Were you in your car? Where were you when who called you? Who told you that Alex Bowman was light and now we are in the final 8? Who called you?
I was here. I was in my shop.
Wow.
I came home. We left the track. Little kid named Liam was there. He's battling cancer, still lives today. But they were down there for the race, and I didn't get to meet him. And my wife was telling me this on the way home, and I was like, "Well, shoot, invite him to the house. Like, tell him to come over." So he's 6. My oldest son's 6. So they're playing foosball in the shop. We're just BSing with their parents and having a good time.
After you get knocked out,
Yeah.
you're knocked out, but you're still a normal person. That's incredible.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because they live a long ways away. They were leaving the next day. I'm like, well, I'm not gonna get to meet them. Like, bring them over. And so they came over, and I started getting some text messages from Paul and others. I was like, yeah, and they're like, don't keep your hopes up. I'm like, yeah, I've heard this story before. It ain't gonna change. And then Roger called. He's like, you're back in. I'm like, no kidding.
Roger Penske.
Yeah, he called me. I was like, no way.
Wow.
Cool. And then I walked back in. I said, you guys aren't gonna believe this.
This is unbelievable. Okay, so now you we're just going through the beef, everybody. Okay, so now you can't do nothing about it. This is a smart ass comment. You didn't go, hey, I don't want to be in the championship. So this opportunity is given to you now. It's served up. Was there any emergency meeting called the next day at the shop, or was it just business as usual?
Right back to work. Nothing changed.
That's
Nothing changed.
awesome.
I mean, we were still in on the owners' championship side, so we could still win the owners' championship even before the 48 got knocked out.
Okay.
So we were still battling for that, which is where the money's at, by the way. So we were going for it. And so then we went. So now we're back in on both. I'm like, okay, cool. Like, okay, we can win both now. But it didn't change the plan. It didn't change anything.
Okay. We're going to deal with the beef all the way. I want to rough you up as hard as I can for the fans. Okay, so Jimmy Johnson goes through the same thing. He wins 7 championships, 4 in a row. Actually, this helmet behind me, right here. Me and Jimmy traded helmets, and this helmet says history 4 times, bro. And I gave him one of my helmets. Now, they hated him. He was vanilla. He wasn't, controversial enough. He just was lame. All he did was win. They need to change the championship. I want to remind everybody, and I kind of want to remind you, this is 2.0. In other words, this exact thing happened. Have you ever thought about that with Jimmy Johnson?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we want to talk about the playoffs here and the system that we have. The playoffs are here because everybody complained about it being a full season for one, and it wasn't exciting enough. And so we put the 10 races, right? Combined points for 10 races for the guys that are in the chase, right? Okay, well, there's still, like, people have it locked up in the last race. Doesn't have that Super Bowl moment, right? That Game 7 feel. Okay, let's make something else. Now we got a system that I think is, like, freaking awesome. I love it. As a race fan, it is intense. It is pressure-packed. It is do or die. People are willing to do the craziest things to try to win. And we're going to complain about that now, too? Come on, guys. Like, come on. Like, I don't really know how to even explain how frustrated I get when I hear some of this stuff. And And then you hear, I'm on social media. I see it. No true champion, Mickey Mouse, all this stuff, right? Bottom line is, we won 3 of the last 10 races. Pretty solid. It's pretty solid, right? You brought up some of our wins we had before. We have 5 wins on the season. I kind of count Richmond a little bit, even though we didn't win, but that's pretty dang close, at least. Like, the guy that wrecked me didn't win the race either. So,
Good point.
So, I don't know. Like, I look at that, I'm like, that's almost a 6-win season. That's solid. To say we're not a true champion, you better get checked out. Like, we showed up when it mattered the most, and that is the same as any other playoff system in any other sport, whether it's the NBA, the NFL, the NHL. I don't care. You can have a great regular season, and it will set you up better for the playoffs, right? It definitely does. There's no doubt. You win a regular season championship, you get 15 points. You win more races, you get 5 each one. You win a stage, you get 1 point, right? All of that matters a lot because it's a 3-race series. 3 races. Those guys showed up. The 45, the 5, the 11. Those guys showed up with like 30 more points than me in every round. We had to overcome that. We started behind all of them. And the facts are they didn't have a good playoff. They had a great regular season to set them up. If they didn't have those playoff points, they're not getting into the round of 8. Think about it. The 45 barely made it in at the Roval. If he didn't have the playoff points, he's not in. So it helped. My point is, it helped them get all the way to the championship 4 when they did not have a solid 9 races before that at all. We beat them in all of them, pretty much. I mean, to close to it at least, or at least if you combined it all, we did. So, and I'm not taking anything away from them, but my point is saying that the regular season matters so much. And we had to play from behind the 8 ball the whole time. I mean, we still had the opportunity to win the championship, even though we didn't have a great regular season. But we got hot when it mattered. We won the races that mattered, and we won the championship because of that. And if you don't like that, you can kiss my ass. That's
Right.
how I feel about it. It's so frustrating to see it, and because for one point I see how fair it is for one point, but then I also see how entertaining it is because I watched the Xfinity Series, I watched Truck Series, same format, freaking love it. I love it. I don't. For the life of me, I will never understand it. I just know people love to complain. I believe more people like it than dislike it. I also believe that haters are louder than lovers because it's just the way life is.
Wow, that's another decal. You're wise beyond your years. Some people say about Kenny conversation, I say, you don't believe how much I learn. Wow. Haters.
Anyways, I'm passionate about it. Sorry.
No, I love it. Haters are louder than lovers. I went to Springfield, Missouri, and I was unloading my race car, and I couldn't even get the car unloaded. And there was a man yelling at me in a good way. He had a lot of spirit. I want to give you my opinion on NASCAR because when I go dirt racing, Kenny Wallace, I'm Mr. NASCAR. And this guy comes running me, goes, just want to let you know the fans are upset because Joey didn't earn it. I looked at him. I said, okay, let me ask you something. Let's go back to Eldora when Scout Bloomquist was light at the scales. Ricky Weiss was light at the scales. And in Eldora, they make a show out of it. They got this big old tower. And on the tower is the weight of the car. You know what I'm saying. They got the green light and the red light. Dirt racing has made a show.
Got to wait in cars.
Yeah. You watch it on Flow or Dirt Vision, and the announcers go, he won the race, but that's not good enough, ladies and gentlemen. He's got to go to tech inspection. It's not over. Stay tuned. And I mean, they make a show out of it. And I looked at that dirt racing, man. I said, okay, you run second tonight here at the Turkey Bowl. Pay $6,000 to win. And you're in tech, and the guy in front of you is light by 30 pounds. He's illegal. Do you not want it? Do you not move up?
You
Well,
should.
then it's just they're just dead quiet. The point is that you are 110% right. This is a psychological warfare. You've won so much lately. You've done so good. Haters are louder than lovers, and they're just jealous, Joey. I'm with you.
Right?
I said it. Kenny Schrader said it. Everybody in the sport has said it. Okay, so we broke the beef down. They can argue till they're blue in the face. We see you all, everybody. We see you. But you still lost. Joey's right. And I'm a little bit of a prick too, Joey. You know,
Yeah.
you got to be like that. It's a tough world out there. They
Yeah.
tried to beat me down. Listen, I went to war. I went to war with these people. I'm like, you make no sense. Just like you said, the Truck Series, the Xfinity Series is all the same.
Mhm.
It's the same point system. Okay, so we're going to kind of end it like this. There's no trick answer here. I'm just going to ask you about the beef. If you were in charge of NASCAR, would you change the point system?
No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't change a thing about it. Not a thing. I can almost convince myself to make it a 2-race final segment, final series there with 4 cars, because something can happen that's out of your control. Right? It's different than football because what's going to happen to the football? Nothing. But a lot of things can happen to the race car. And like when I think of 2020, we had that race won, beat the 9 off of pit road on the long green flag run, driving away from them. Everything's looking good. We're about to win the championship in 20, and we changed a set of tires, put it on. Car's shaking so bad I can't see where I'm going to fall back to 4th. Just change the tires. And it lost us the championship. Just like that. You tell me that doesn't sting? That would hurt big time. So with that in mind, you think, gosh, it'd be nice to have the opportunity to recover from something like that. But you don't have that Game 7 moment if you have that, where you have like everybody there for one weekend, one race, one track, all for all the marbles, right? Like, so
I agree. I really think NASCAR is going to do this. I said I'm afraid if we go to 3 races, then that's so many races that somebody could technically wrap it up.
yeah,
You know what I mean, right?
I wouldn't change anything.
Yeah.
And I know everyone's gonna watch this and go, "Of course you wouldn't change it because you just got the system figured out." Well, you know what? Then tell someone else to go figure it out. You know what I mean? Like that's not. Don't put that on me. You know what I mean? Like
You still got to win the race.
we've done a good job at the system. I just think as a fan, take myself out of it. And no one believes you can take yourself out of it, but I think I can. And actually just think about the product, like the entertainment value of the race and the storylines of how awesome it is. Like that's the type of race fan I am. That's the type of racing I like. Everybody can be different. We all can have different opinions, but that's the kind of race fan I am.
I love it. Schrader's right. My wife is right. I'm right. You're nice. Okay, everybody. I listen, race fans. I roughed him up. There you go. I roughed him up, and I'm sorry, but if you go to your dirt race or you go to your short track race, and all this, Joey, every bit of this is about Alex Bowman being light, and you were given an opportunity. You took advantage of the opportunity. Dale Jr., Chase Elliott, they cannot help that they're an Elliott, that they, are an Earnhardt.
It's good.
You take advantage of it, boys. So Chase Elliott did, Dale Earnhardt Jr. did, and you took advantage of an opportunity. Joey, I want to thank you. We're at the end, but I want to rattle off something because I think and now we're gonna make a 180 here. This is going to be totally different. Thank you for allowing me to go down that route with you, because as Larry McReynolds said, we beat it like a dead horse. My God, it was exhausting. I want to end like this. Penske domination in 2024. And this is to celebrate the captain, your boss, Roger Penske. He said that this ranks as the best season, arguably since 1968 for him. listen to this. Only team to win the championship since the next gen car. You and Blaney, you've won 3. You've won 3 in a row. He won his first Rolex 24 at Daytona since 1969. Roger Penske won his 20th Indianapolis 500 with Joseph Newgarden. He won the IMSA championship, won the World Endurance Championship in Bahrain. His 100th Cup win in NASCAR with Ford. His 100th sports car win, 100th pole. My Lord.
It's a lot. It's a lot of racing. A lot of stuff going on.
And won everything.
Got more to go.
I think Mr. H wants a Penske pin now, a lapel. If you go back 8 years ago, you remember what I'm saying. Roger Penske said, "I need one of those H pins." I think it's opposite now. I think Mr. H wants a Penske pin to put on his shirt. Yeah, that's pretty incredible. Well, Joey, thank you for your time. Go back to riding the 4-wheeler with your son. Listen up, everybody. There he is. Respond right here. But opportunity is the headline of this Kenny conversation. Remember, we are in podcast form now, and it's on Dirty Mo Media. So after you get on watching this on the Kenny Wallace YouTube show, it will live on Dirty Mo Media in podcast form now. Joey, thank you.
All right. Well, thank you. Thanks for having me on, and I'm sure I'll see you around soon somewhere.
Merry Christmas. Happy Thanksgiving.
Merry Christmas. Thanks, guys.
Goodbye, everybody.